Well, guys, long time no see here. All right, I hope everybody had a really good Christmas, and I hope everybody got a lot of swag and a lot of time spent with good people. And I figure since the flu has hit the stately Mouse Manor here, I figured I'd go ahead and show off my haul for December, plus what I got for Christmas here before I go down, because I think it's just a matter of time, just to be realistic, not morbid or anything. Kevin Kelly, hey, what's going on? So I figured I'd go ahead and do this live stream, get it out of the way. And the other thing is that I'm glad there's still people out there. Hey, comic crypto castle kills, what's up? But I'm gonna go ahead. I haven't been on YouTube for I don't know, maybe a week or two. Kind of wait. Said anything else about the thing coming? I did see another video that kind of calmed me down, so I'm not going to touch anything. But when I got on my watch list, and I also looked at my subs when I got on tonight, holy crap, man. On my watch list, I'm one of those people, I will binge watch a bunch of videos. Yeah, not don't breathe on you. Yeah, we're taking this a day at a time, if you will, almost minute by minute. So no worries there. But I got on my watch list videos I want to watch, and I also, like I said, looked at my subs, and holy crap, man, they're falling like flies. People were making goodbye videos, and here's why I'm leaving. I don't blame them one bit for being more cautious than anything, but a ton of the people I'm subscribed to are gone. A ton of the videos I had on the watch list are either turned private or deleted. And then when I was able to remember some of the videos I was wanting to watch, I went to try to find those channels, and they're gone. So I'm down by 7 subscribers the last time that I was on here, and I lost a few before that, but a few of them are probably people who unsubbed, but a majority of them are channels that have deleted themselves. So we're just going to have some fun looking at some cool stuff tonight, right? So like I said, I hope everybody had a really good Christmas and stuff. And I'm setting up in the kitchen here. I'm in a corner so I can have some light. The comic book room is coming along quite nicely. I just got to figure out about some lighting in there. Whoever put up the huge ceiling fan with the teeny tiny bulbs in there for mood lighting, they made a huge mistake. So just to kind of jump on into it, the fiance got me a few things here. Did really well and stuff. See if I can show all these in here. But this right here, I know where these came from, Hobby Lobby. But for the comic book room, we now have a Darth Vader piece here on hardwood. It's got a rustic feel to it to make it look old. And of course, what it's supposed to look like is that corner box on your Marvel Comics of yesteryear of the man Vader. So yeah, we're really cool there. And as you come down here, you can see it was a 30 cents in issue 24 of Star Wars. I assure you that this was not the actual picture on that comic book from probably around 79 or 80, issue 24 there. But this is very cool. I like the slender shape. It'll fill in some gaps on the walls. I fill them in there. Very happy to get this as I set this down. Another thing that I got that I was very, very happy with, because this is one of the things I really wanted, and I held off buying it for myself because I did buy something else there. Is this Doctor Who piece? It looks like an old comic, hardwood, of course. Hang up on the wall, has the hanger there, and it's a bunch of the Doctor Who villains back when Doctor Who was worth watching. And it's got some of the classic characters from the 60s, the original Cybermen, if you will. What are these? I'm going to get this totally wrong. Icemen of Mars, maybe? I don't know. We got the Silence in there. Just some really great stuff in here. Of course, the Daleks. And they have a character here, right here, Missy. They had a chance to make a very iconic Doctor Who villain with Missy. But then we found out that this was just, an incarnation of the Master. That's why she is forgotten, if you will. They really missed their chance trying to pander, if you will. We'll just leave it at that. But still, a fantastic piece. I love this. I go back to Doctor Who to around 1980, I think, with the Space Arc with Tom Baker. Faces of Evil. Faces of Evil is my favorite Doctor Who episode storyline of all time. And I followed it quite a few years through the 80s. And then, of course, I was on board when Sci-Fi brought him back with Chris Eccleston. I'm in there. So, yeah, next year we'll make 40 years of me dabbling in with Doctor Who. And, and I do count the years that Doctor Who was not on the air in the States on PBS. And after he was canceled in the 80s there on BBC because we still had bootleg VHS tapes going around. People still talking about it that came over here to America. Eric Breen, one day after I did my first video, one of the LCL local comic shops in my area had a 50% back issue sale. I should have waited. I will be able to, you're going to feel me. You're going to tell that I can feel you here in a minute, okay? I think, seems like I've got a few books. Now, before I get, well, let's go ahead and just keep doing the Christmas all here, right? Okay, so there's a funny story behind this book here that I'm going to show you. Several months ago, I think maybe October, possibly October, might have been September, we were at a mall up here eating Chick-fil-A, right beside the Chick-fil-A across from it. It's a Books A Million, and I went in and I saw this book of the Venture Brothers. I was like, oh my God, I want that. And I remember not buying it because we were saving up the money for the house that we're in here, right? So probably in mid-November, I was just sitting on the couch and I was like, you know what? I'm going to look up and see how much that book was. I'm going to go for it. And I heard the fiance sitting there going, squeaking, saying, no, you can't. And she, instead of just like trying to talk me into not buying it, she just flat out told me, I've already got it for you for Christmas. So what we have here is the Go Team Venture, the art and making of the Venture Brothers. I have been with this show from day one. I'm one of those people that waited for years in between seasons. I think they've had 7 seasons in 16 years, 17 years. Don't know where we're at right now. I watch it on the Adult Swim, on the Roku, if you will, and here and there on the internet. But I usually buy the DVDs and binge watch it, keep up with it. And I would watch it on the Cartoon Network. It's changed over the years. Going back, I remember whatever season came out in 2009, maybe 2008, 2009. I watched it. They would actually release those on the website. You could watch it that way. It's highly influenced by like Johnny Quest and comic books. The show has had I can't believe I went blank on live TV, but the guy who created Tick did a few episodes. If you play around with it, you could see that. Why can I not think of his name? That is a shame. But anyway, at the same time that this guy was writing an episode or 2 per season for the Venture Brothers, he was also working on the show Supernatural. And there would be like little in jokes there if you caught him every now and then. But anyway, this book is supposed to go into talking about how from Doc Hammer and Jackson Public, play on words there. But Jackson Public is actually a writer who worked on the Tick cartoon show and stuff. And this was his baby. And they originally wanted to do the Venture Brothers as a comic. And I think it had some of the comic pages in here. And then we talk about the characters. And from me flipping through it, they go season by season talking about the episodes with the character designs and things that there's. I mean, this has got tons of art and background information on the characters. You can tell it's huge. I'm very excited to be reading this. I know this probably isn't showing up well, but I'm already on page 94, 92, 94, and it's just some fantastic stuff here. Let me see if I can find some color pages for you. Here we go. We see some behind the scenes in their shop, if you will. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here, so I'm really excited to be getting into this, my Venture Brothers, if you will. Oh, so cool, so cool. Ben Edlin, thank you guys. That's very embarrassing for me to remember to forget that. Like I said, I may be down with the flu, so I'm totally going to use that as my excuse. Thanks, man. I've the tick for years here, man. I was there. What do we got here? Oh, great. Yeah, she's cool. She's cool, right? So something I ordered for myself in the midst of all this is that I'm really becoming a Jacques Tardy fan. He has a character named Lester, who apparently is huge over in England. I played around with YouTube trying to look up more this artist named Tardy stuff, Tardi. I already got one Lester, I think it's Lester Burton book over here, hardback book. I can talk about that other stuff. I actually discovered his stuff in 2002 when a friend of mine that I worked with went to England and France on vacation, and they found me a comic book in France, and that's where I first found Tardy. Of course, it was in French. So I'm slowly getting into his stuff, actually being able to read it because Fantagraphics put out 3 hardcovers translating his stuff. And this one is called The Arctic Marauder. I found this very cheap, surprised me, brand new on eBay, just playing around. I was able to grab it. And Tardy's stuff is just amazing. The books I was telling you about, the private investigator Lester, apparently he's huge in England or in France because I found some TV shows of that character. Of course, they're in French on YouTube from there. And apparently he plays around with different kind of styles. It's black and white, pen and ink, of course. Narration's very good. But just flipping through this, it seems like Tardy is able to put you in that world when you read this book. When you read his books of the other character I was talking about, it's like a film noir kind of feel for the book, set in Nazi-occupied France. And now this one takes place, I think, in the 20s. And it really feels like you're on a ship in the Arctic in the 20s. You know, you're surrounded by icebergs. It's very dark, very moody. I'm really enjoying this stuff. I'm getting more into this than I am in most of the American comics I'm reading. So that's really great, really great. So I'm very pleased to have that. I may end up talking about, Tardy, T-A-R-D-I. I'll put his name up here. Get a good look at this. But yeah, this is going to be a fantastic read. And it's dense. It's very dense. It's also in chapters. So I'm very excited about that. And then I also got this on eBay. Now, Eric Bring talked about going to the comic book shop and finding out they had a 50% off the back issue sale the day after, right? Well, I sort of have a similar experience with the set of books I'm about to show you. I played around to look for this. And, some of the actual sets are quite pricey because of the material, if you will, of its rarity and stuff. And I found a hardback, 3 hardbacks in a slipcase. And I found it for really cheap, considering what it is on eBay. But then I found out eBay has this thing where they've started adding state taxes. I haven't really looked into it to see what states that are of who you're buying off of. And it checked the price up, but I was already committed. I didn't know about that. So after I bought this, I found eBay ended up, for some reason, I only usually get emails or alerts from eBay if I lose an auction or I don't bid on something I'm watching. But they sent me an alert that I could have got a brand new, sealed in the plastic set of these books for $8 more than what I paid for the used edition. But that's fine. That's okay. But what I got here is something sort of controversial, but I think some of it was manufactured, if you will. But this is a set of Lost Girls by Alan Moore and Melanie Gibby, his wife. And as you can see, it's a slipcase. It's got some shelfware on it on the edges. Nothing real substantial that I'm looking at. The only thing that really bothered me is on the back, somebody tried to start peeling off the sticker that talks about what the Lost Girls is about by Alan Moore. And as you can see, here are the books. I'm not afraid to put them out because let me tell you what this is about. I don't want to use a certain word in case the bots find me on YouTube. And I've already said one word that they look for. YouTube does have words you're not allowed to say or they'll come after you or per video. But this is the Lost Girls, and this is where we get Alice from Alice in Wonderland, Wendy from Peter Pan, and Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. And they're sitting around, they're sharing their fairy tales. They're kind of hanging out in an Austrian hotel, if you will. And it's erotica, if you will. Alan Moore's whole deal is that there's been all sorts of things taken from other genres and made into comics or influenced comics, pulp, movies, serials, history, mystery, film noir, and nobody had done erotica, if you will. So I have the first issue of this, the original printing, like sort of like an oversized magazine form, and now we have the 3 hardbacks that go with this. And I was talking about let me make sure I don't show anything I shouldn't here, but this is just one of them. I can't show you the back of it already, but this is the sort of art that's in there. And a lot of people, some of the controversy that I saw, they were talking about these are still underage girls talking about sexual exploration and stuff like that. Well, it's not illegal. They're fictional characters, and there's been many different sets and prints of this put out. So I don't think that's an issue here. But Melanie Gibby's art, it's very colorful and expressive, but very cartoon-like. It's very retro. She actually makes it feel like the era. I mean, when I read this, I feel like I'm reading something from the 20s with the hairstyles and everything that they nail in this. But what I'm saying, there's like bondages and stuff in it. And, I'm one of those people that I feel bad for people who get into have to get into hedonistic areas of that part of their life. They messed up their brains so bad that it's sort of a dysfunction. But if they come after me and want to say, you judgmental idiot, I'll be like, I'm going to use my safe word and you're going to have to quit, because the submissive has all the powers. It has all the power. All right, what we got here? Eric Breen, if we're here, we know what Lost Girls is about, allegedly. Yep. Does thou have a channel I can sub to? Yes, Comic Crypt of Castle Hills does have a channel. Go check out his channel. He's one of those people I binge watch. I'm pretty much seriously down to like about 4 or 5 channels I binge watch per month. Comic Crypt of Castle Hills is one, so go check out his stuff. Something I kind of picked up this month, just kind of break it up. But if you go to the Walmarts, if you will, I want you to look at this. This is a 500-piece puzzle of the Big Lebowski movie poster. Apparently, Blockbuster, I don't know how that works, but it's tagged as Blockbuster, has their rear print on it. But they've come out with a couple sets of these puzzles of movie posters. I saw E.T., I saw The Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, and Lebowski. I, of course, grabbed the Big Lebowski. I've been a Big Lebowski fan for quite a while. I actually did Lebowski Fest in Louisville, Kentucky in 2010. There's pictures on my Facebook and stuff. But these are huge puzzles. These actually come up to a smaller size movie poster once you put them together, 18 by 24 inches. And I'm going to get a frame for about $15 when I do decide to do this. This is going to be quite a big puzzle to do, even though it's 500 pieces. These are very cool. I almost got the Breakfast Club, but you got to go with Lebowski. You have to. Oh, we got one for you. Eric Breen says that he mentioned me in a video, so go sub him also. Eric Breen, I mentioned you in my video, Howler. Cheap plug to get you to watch it. Yeah, I'll check it out, man. I'll check it out. Okay, so these are books that I got at a comic book shop, Mountain Empire, out in Bristol over this past weekend. I ended up going out there. I got some boxes. We ended up out there to go see, actually get on a racetrack, the Bristol Speedway or something. You can see it on ESPN. But they end up having like a huge, you can just drive around and see the Christmas lights. They have dinosaurs, things moving, and, it's just a nice little time while you listen to Christmas music. And we stopped and got burgers at a landmark of Bristol, Virginia / Tennessee, right on the state line, called the Burger Bar. And then we saw the lights, but I was able to stop in there and grab some books, $1 a piece. And then they also had at the Mercer Mall, there's this guy who apparently is there regularly. I got these books for $1 a piece, so they're all mixed up. So these are just the comic books that I've gotten. And I think it's a really good haul. I'm really getting down to, the reason I was able to get this stuff on the cheap and explore and actually start filling in some runs and get a few things to complete, some sets and runs that I have, is because I'm just not buying a lot of comics. I think my orders now are between $7 and $10 per month, and that's at 35% off. I've got another haul coming in from Gmart, comic book shop or whatever. It's Gmart that I order online through their shop out of Chicago. And I'm thinking about just kind of quitting, getting new books all together here, unless it's something extraordinary. I have the Watchmen Companion coming in, which I'll probably do a whole video just on that book whenever it comes in, a big hardback that came in. It's I think it was a $40 book, but thanks to my discount, I think I got it for like 25 bucks. And that may have been the only thing I ordered in comics 2 months ago. So that was about it. But anyway, getting on to it, if you kind of want to go back to the 80s and get something kind of indie, and you're a fan of the shadow of the 40s pulp characters, 30s pulp characters, you might want to check out these two miniseries. And one of the miniseries comes with a flexi disc where you get this guy, Tim Truman, and his band actually gave him a theme song from the 40s, I think, and another one for the 60s, a la Green Hornet, Batman, that kind of thing. But this is the Prowler, number one. I think there was 2 4-issue miniseries, and I found this character in Eclipse's anniversary crossover event called Total Eclipse, where they brought in Marv Wolfman and tried to do their version of Crisis on Infinite Earths with all these characters, if you will, right? But this is where I found the Prowler, and he has his little sidekick, and he's pretty cruel to him. And this guy is just a killer, the Prowler. You know, think of the Shadow turned up way to 10 with some psychotic stuff in there, you know. And you'll get backup stories that take place. He aged in real time. So this does take place during the 80s when he's an old man, and I think he's terminally ill or something. And this kid figures out who he is, and there's this secret cult popping up in the city. And it's very gritty, very realistic. Like you feel like you can go on the streets of Detroit or something, or wherever this takes place. It's been about 2 years since I read them back then, but Tim Truman really got in here with John K. Snyder, and this is just a fantastic little diamond in the rough if you want to go find it. Really good stuff. I enjoyed immensely, and I'm hoping this is the first issue that I needed. Like I said, I'm pretty sure there's 2 4-issue miniseries out there. This may complete it. Of course, this is from Eclipse Comics back in the 80s, and it's just, I just love this. Truman stuff with Scout, Hawkworld, Lone Ranger, Jonah Hex. I've talked to Tim Truman at several cons. He lives up in West Virginia, over the state line, probably just a couple hours from me. So you see this guy sitting at a con, and he's got the ball cap on and usually a button-up shirt. So, yeah, just good stuff. Very underrated guy, and I think he does a lot of album covers or artwork for the Grateful Dead, or has in the band. Isn't there an Airboy Prowler miniseries out there somewhere, Eric Breen? I would not doubt it. When it comes to the Eclipse Comics, I've talked many times on here how a lot of that stuff I would discover through Comic Scene. You could only get this stuff at comic book shops, and back then I wasn't around one. So when I did find things or did hit a comic book shop, it was my one shot to grab some stuff, and then I would read the ads and stuff. So yeah, it's probably out there. Comic Crypt of Castle Hill says, "Wow, Prowler sounds cool. I enjoy it. I do not want to hype it up. Get you a few for $1. See if you like it. You shouldn't. There should be no reason to buy any of these not on the cheap. I've got a stack of them over in the next room, so I get to see if I had them all." Oh, yeah, Eclipse. I love Eclipse Comics. Oh, yeah. The Crimson Avenger by Roy Thomas reminds me a bit of The Shadow as well. Oh, Red Vitamin Blue's out there. Yeah, the Crimson Avenger is definitely a character of his time in the 30s. He predates Superman, of course. And, of course, this is when we had the pulps and we had the radio shows and The Shadow and all that stuff. So, yeah, the Crimson Avengers definitely, think about it. If you go back and look at a lot of those Golden Age characters, it was trench coats and fancy hats and guns, 2 revolvers, Eric Breen, I just reread the Prestige Hawkworld series for the first time in almost 30 years. Still holds up. Absolutely. I swear when Tim Truman writes stuff, man, it feels like a war movie from the 70s sometimes. It feels like we're seeing a Vietnam set in space. As above, so below was the theme of that one. Got real political. You had a bunch of hawk men, if you will, popping pills and stuff to get ready to go kick some butt. Someone had Eric Brent Prowler Mouse. Someone had to do it. That's funny. It's pretty good. All right, so we go from something like I enjoy that's really gritty and kind of serious, and then you have these backup features where you get to see the Prowler back in the 30s and 40s and has these old pulp Golden Age stories and things. But they created a whole world for this guy. So we're going to go with something that was silly. I was 10 years old when this came out. You had Team America coming out. You had I'd go to my friend's house. Like Jason, I mention every now and then. I go to his house. He would have his GI Joes out. He was the first person I ever saw that took the screw out of the back, and he would make his own GI Joes, mixing them. He would have some X-Men comics, some ROM comics, and then he'd have Team America, and then he had this book, and this book just blew my mind because, again, I'm just having a night where I'm calling it like it is. I hated people that would still run around and talk on the CVs, okay? But this is US1, number 1. This is a trucker who got into a wreck. And as you can see here, this is US1. That was his handle for the CB. He had up getting his head crushed or something in a wreck and had surgery. And now he can pick up CB signals through his teeth. I'm pretty sure I saw that on an episode of Gilligan's Island. And of course there's some like Phantom of the Opera kind of trucker evil dude that I think this lasted 12 issues. I read the ones that my buddy Jason had when I was 10, back in like in 83, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 83. And then he popped up in John Byrne's She-Hulk, and it fit. He worked. It was amazing. He's set in space. She-Hulk goes to space, and there's US1, and we get a little recap here of how he got into space and what he's doing out there, right? But it was a first issue for $1 in pretty good shape. First appearance, first issue, and I was like, why not? Why not? I've got the Team America. Why not we get the US1? US1 sounds like it could have been a Mort of the Month, right? Red Vitamin Blue. Now, I'm sitting here heckling the book, kind of laughing at it, and, wouldn't it be something if I ended up reading this book and finding out that, like, this was ahead of its time? This is very cool, and I have to eat my words. I don't feel like that's going to happen, but there you go. There you go. Yeah. Now, here's one that's near and dear to my heart. If you've watched this channel for any time, I've got love for this character. It's one of the reasons I started watching the Venture Brothers, and actually got a little pissed when I was watching it when I realized what they were doing here, because it was supposed to be, I understood the Venture Brothers was set in the world of this person. They've done some things since then. But Kamiko, and every time I pull up this company on this channel, I get told that it's Kamiko, not Comico. But Kamiko was a very underrated company, in my opinion, with some of the books they were putting out, because some people came out of this company and put out some great stuff. Bob Schreck as a editor, and William Messner Loebs, and a lot of people here. But Johnny Quest, I think this series ran for 31, 32 issues. I'm just chipping away at it a little at a time as I go across them. Mark Hempel did the art in this for a while. They had other people doing great coverage for this also. Don't get me wrong, Steve Rude, Sinkovich, just some great people here and stuff, right? But here's number 16 of the Johnny Quest series. I don't think I have that many to collect anymore on this one. I think I'm getting close to having them all. But these Johnny Quest books are fun if you like Johnny Quest. There's one or two issues I just kind of shook my head like they didn't need to go there. But then you have issues where you're just sort of like, that would have been a great cartoon. But of course, Johnny Quest, created by the great Doug Wildley. And there's been many things that they said Doug Wildley pulled from, if not flat out ripped off for Johnny Quest. But Johnny Quest is the one that survived. And my next adventure is I still have the first edition of the DVD series of the series that came out in the 2000s. I still have that, and now they re-released it on Blu-ray with everything unedited. There was things that they edited out of the DVD set that were offensive, but now that we're back, I'll be getting that Blu-ray. But yeah, I just love this series, and it is, like I said, a labor of love where I like Johnny Quest. We're not talking about, we're not talking about great literature here. So the other thing I'm doing is I'm getting a second set of this together. I think I'm down to need 4 issues to have a second complete set of this, and I'm going to take this set and I'm going to get something for my collection. Charlton 66, when I went to his house to visit him a couple years ago, I got to see his collection of bound comics that he sent off and did. And I looked at it, and I've been warned over the years that the paper will crack of a comic book because it's not meant to be bound and things like that. You end up getting, it ends up looking like, a novel. It's a bound book with a book. But it's Planetary, number 23. Planetary is fantastic. And for some reason, I just really want something unique in my collection. When somebody, to me, variety in your collection is what makes it a great collection. And people, have bound comics they send off, and it's unique to them. It's a unique collection, and I want to have one, so I can say that I have a bound book in my collection. And why not Planetary? Now, there's several other series I'm thinking about doing that with, getting all the Sword of the Atom stuff together to do that. The other series is probably maybe getting Atari Force up. Atari Force, oh my God, the first 12 issues by Mike Baron and Jose Garcia Lopez art on it. This is a series that was better than it should have been. Gary Conway started out with it, then Mike Baron of Nexus picked up on it. Get the timeline right there, right? So what I have here is just a upgrade of the last issue, issue number 19. But like I said, Sword of the Atom, Atari Force, Planetary. I'm really thinking about going that way with some of my books and getting them bound. What we got here? Murdoch the Pooch is here. Is there any comic artist, past or present, that you own or want to own a compilation book of? Definitely Garcia Lopez, Jose Garcia Lopez. I think a lot of people, he's always been great, and the people who liked his stuff were fans, but I think he's, for some reason, it seems like his name is starting to get thrown around there a little bit. I was able to meet him at Heroes Con and sit in on a panel with him, which was amazing. Lee Weeks was sitting with him. And one of the things that Lopez said that he wished he could have been able to do in his career, and I'm like, somebody get this guy on the book, make the phone call, was he wanted to do Conan. I think Garcia Lopez on Conan would be fantastic. And he said that the one person that he can't stand to draw is Superman. And like over the last year or two, I've seen him end up drawing Superman a whole lot. And I was like, man, come on. Now, I need to go check, because I think this is in Marvel Premiere or something. This book, going back to the 70s for you guys. Yeah, Marvel Premiere, number 45 is where I think this starts. But I've got almost this whole series, and this is a George Perez design. This is early Perez. Let me make sure. Yeah, early George Perez on this one stuff, right? But this is a True Believers number 1 for $1 that I picked up. Man-Wolf. I love this series. I think it's fantastic. And what always cracked me up is that they never shut Man-Wolf's mouth. And all the designs and all the panels, his mouth is always open. And I enjoy seeing George Perez back in the day, where he's honing his craft and coming into his own. You can see where he was and how far he's come with his artwork. And I'm pretty sure I have a full run of Man-Wolf in Marvel Premiere from the 70s, mid-70s. Great character design, great little sci-fi. Just so much fun. Back when Marvel was just really fun. Even their bad books were a lot of fun. Just check out that design. Now, this is in 1975, and this makes me think of things like Taskmaster. This makes me think of things like Deathstroke the Terminator, back when he was just the Terminator, and the Ravager from his Titan stuff from the 80s and stuff. So much stuff came out of this. It's all just kind of laid out there. I think of the Lex Luthor armor in Brainiac that he redesigned and stuff. Just fantastic stuff. Eric Breen, George Perez did most of the Man-Wolf issues. Creature on the Loose. Okay, cool. I might have some of those too. I've actually been doing the purge with my books. I actually put some pictures on my Instagram and Facebook of what I purged out. So when I run across them, I'll see what I have. This is saying this was originally in Marvel Premiere. So there's Creatures on the Loose. I might have those also. That'd be fantastic. Now, like I said, there's things that I get that I just want to complete. I was there. I just like them. Part of collecting isn't always about finding those big key books or anything like that, but it's just for the fun of it. And this is one of the series I get. Little monsters I get for the fun of it. I'm sure there's some other silly books that I'll pick up, but Pirates of Dark Water. I dug the cartoon. The cartoon came out when I was 17. And it was really cool to see something that was a little bit of a throwback. Saturday morning cartoons had been on a slow decline, getting replaced with live action shows and things that were going on. And Pirates of Dark Water was really cool. It was serialized, if you will. It was really, to me, it felt like it was heavily influenced by Flash Gordon and that sort of thing. And Marvel Comics put out just a few books that had fantastic covers on them. Charles Best did some covers on them. As you can see with this one, it's sort of painted. This is just fun. I don't know. I might need an issue or two more, and that was it. But like I said, this didn't last long, and it's a licensed property. But yeah, just a fun book with some great covers that are fun. And I have been playing this on Sega. I've got a Raspberry Pi, which is I've got something that has I can't remember if it's 4,000 or 6,000 games, starting with Atari 2600 all the way up to Nintendo 64 maybe, and Game Boy, and all the Ataris in between, and all the Nintendos in between and stuff. And there's a Sega game. It has that of Dark Water, which is actually superior to the Super Nintendo version of this. So I've been playing that and getting into it. It was really fun. What we got here? The 2 issues of Marvel Premiere was a wrap up to that series 2 years later. Well played, Eric Breen. Well played. Eric Breen is saying that the Marvel Premiere wrapped up the Creatures on the Loose one. So when I get in there and get in my comics, I'll see if I have them all. Fantastic. That's why I love doing these live shows, and this is why I love talking to comic book people. That is fantastic. Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. So 2 other books that I got for $1. One I really needed. I never thought I was going to find it, and I'm going to fall down when I get to as I go through my books purging. I find out I really had this and forgot about it. But I got some Sin City books. I'm a huge fan of the Sin City stuff. Love or hate Frank Miller, Sin City was awesome, right? Too bad about that second movie. But anyway, here is Sex and Violence, where we actually got to use the color blue and a little bit of red with this character, Baby, I think was her name. Just a little one-shot here in the 90s. And this one, I was wondering why it was in there for $1. It's got a bit of a mildew smell to it, but that's all right. But this is issue 9 of a 9-issue series of Hell and Back, a Sin City love story, where we have our artist in the midst of Sin City and stuff. And I think this might be the issue where we get like a really trippy couple pages there. But I love the Sin City. I love the use of negative space for the art to tell the story. These books are just so much fun once you get into them. Just his use of space to tell a story sometimes. That says a whole lot. I'm going to put this up because it's got quite a mildew smell, and I want to get a dryer sheet, put in the back of this bag, and see if we can get rid of that smell after I seal it up. And my new interest, the new series that I'm really, hey, what's up here? Victor Thomas, what's up? And I've been collecting bits and pieces of this series probably for like 2 or 3 years. And it's going very slow. I actually discovered it in the 90s when there was a one-shot called Sandman Mystery Theater or something came out that Matt Wagner and Neil Gaiman got together on, and we had the Sandman of the pulp era. Seems like I'm getting a lot of these. Didn't realize it, but it seems like a lot of the books I'm getting have a lot of pulp roots to it and stuff, right? But we had the Sandman of the Golden Age meet Neil Gaiman's Sandman, sort of kind of there. For a second, and Matt Wagner and some Guy Davis and some people were putting out this Vertigo book that was fantastic, but it also crossed over with Starman with The Mist, so that's where I seeked it out and really liked it. But I've been finally been finding some issues of Sandman Mystery Theater from the 90s with Matt Wagner, Steve Siegel. Guy Davis started out on the book. But this is a Vertigo series where it's true to its pulp roots, and it takes place in the 30s. And it's just a fantastic read. You know, he goes after serial killers and cults, the occultists back then, and really down to earth kind of stuff, and very twisted at times, where man is the worst monster there is and stuff, right? So yeah, Sandman Mystery Theater. I think there's like maybe 75 issues of that. I've got a trade of the first storyline. I highly recommend it if you can find it on the cheap. That's just a great fun series if you feel like reading a period piece. Just fantastic. All right, guys, that's really it for the haul. I'll be putting some of this stuff up and probably reading a little bit tonight, preparing myself to get sick, I guess. Make my little nest here and get the stuff out of the way. So if you guys got any comments or questions, throw them out there. And as usual, if not, we'll just kind of call it a night here. I appreciate everybody that's gotten in here. And like I said, I hope you guys had quite a bit of, a very good Christmas that's passed. And whatever holidays you do or do not celebrate, I hope they went well. Okay, guys. Let's see if there's anything else in the chat. Looks good. All right, guys. Well, be excellent to each other and carry on. Like, subscribe, let people know we're out there, and check out some of the people. Eric Breen, I want to check him out this weekend. Comic Crypt of Castle Hills, like I've always talked about. Red Vitamin Blue. Check out all these guys out here. Check out their channels. Sub them. All right, guys. Good night. Later, guys.